Well, it was a great week, Green Trails. We had great worship. We're in our sermon series, Family Portrait, and we had uplifting worship and inspirational reflections on the scriptures. I hope you'll come next week for our final installment. Now, I want to remind you or tell you that on February 5th, Super Bowl Sunday, the youth of our church are serving homemade soup. Get it? Super Bowl. And the donations that you're going to give are going to go to another program we have called Feeding the 5,000, which will be in April. We're going to make 5,000 meals to help feed the people in our community. So I hope you'll be a part of that. I want to go back in time a little bit with you to a time before cable TV. I know that's hard to remember. When in St. Louis there were 3 major stations with 2 local ones, and the TV went off at midnight. And there was no TV from midnight to about 5 or 6 in the morning. I don't know how we lived. But there was one man who was the king of TV in that time. One man who stood supreme over everyone. He was the one that ruled the night airwaves. And that was none other than Johnny Carson. It seemed like everybody in America listened at night to the "Here's Johnny." And Johnny would come out and do his monologue when he would make jokes and make people laugh, and then he would poke fun at politicians. And there was a few political careers that were ended by Johnny Carson's humor. Now, back in the day, when Johnny Carson was big and there were young preachers who were struggling, they were struggling with public speaking or struggling relating to people, often leaders of the church would recommend that they watch Johnny Carson to learn how to speak to people, both in a large group and individually. That's how big he was. At his home in Malibu, he had an embroidered pillow that sat on a sofa. And the embroidered pillow said this: "Timing is everything." And certainly that's true if you're a joke teller. Timing is everything. It's also important in sports, and in music, and in life. Like, for instance, there's a difference between that sort of timing and clock time. Johnny Carson didn't say, "I'm going to deliver a punchline at 10:45. No, he had to have a sense of timing, which is everything. He had to tell his joke, he had to listen to the audience's response, he had to move into the next joke, and deliver the punchline at just the right time. In fact, it's the difference between a good joke and a bad one. Timing is everything. In sports, when the Super Bowl comes, you don't tell Tom Brady to throw a pass at 7:35. Wouldn't make any sense. He waits, he looks, he reads all the situation, and then has this great sense of timing and completes the pass. We need a sense of timing too in our lives. A sense of timing beyond the passing of the clock. We need to sense God's movement. We need to sense the time where it's time to reach out and love to somebody. We need to sense the time where it's time to ask for forgiveness, or maybe the time to give it to someone. So this Sunday, we're going to be talking about this other type of time and how our families are kind of the arena when we learn about time's passing and what's appropriate to the time of our lives. So I hope that intrigues you, and I hope to see you Sunday.